I'm Kit Knowles, and this is Ellie Knowles, my wife, and we own this property, 3 The Thorns in Chorltonville. I'm a sustainability consultant for Ecospheric Limited, and I help private homeowners save energy and live healthier lifestyles in their own home.
What's particularly special about the house is when you look at it from the outside and inside, you don't notice anything different in that it's got all these environmental technologies. It looks like a lived-in home, and it's done well in conserving the natural beauty of the building.
The strategy behind achieving our aims for this property was focused on passive design and passive technologies. We were trying to get away from relying upon active technologies to save money and energy in the home.
Aside from the aesthetics, the best thing about the house has got to be the low maintenance. All the technology installed means that we have to do very, very little, and in fact spend very little to keep the same environment. We also have a nice consistent heat throughout the year, which is wonderful.
One of the main focuses on selection of this property being a 100-year-old arts and crafts property, it was how difficult to treat it was. When we found it, it was in a very dire state and obviously really, really tough to work with, having solid brick walls and conservation status. All of this made us select this property as the perfect one for our project, as what we wanted to do was achieve what hasn't previously been achieved. And as such, we've taken a property that was costing £2,500 a year in gas and electricity, and now we're spending around about £500 a year on both the dual fuels, and we're doing that with a business running out of the property at the same time.
My favourite part of the property is the open plan dining kitchen, which then leads into the lounge, because I absolutely love cooking and it's nice to do it while being involved with the rest of the family.
This area of the property we have dubbed the Solarium, and this is because it's part of our passive design technique. There are 3 main methods by which we distribute energy over time and space, the first of which is thermal mass. We're able to use the properties of the materials in this area to absorb the heat during the height of the day and release it at night to ensure that we get a consistent temperature profile over time. The second method by which we distribute energy is over space. Where I'm stood now, there used to be a wall, and by removing this wall we're able to create a much more open plan space which has some really positive lifestyle effects, but additionally it's able to distribute the temperature so that we are able to get much more regular temperature across the entire area. We also have a mechanical ventilation system with heat recovery in the property, and this is our third method by which we're able to distribute energy around the property. It uses pipes and ducts to collect it from the warmer areas and distribute it to the cooler. There are 8 million properties in the UK that have solid brick walls, leaving only 2 options to upgrade them thermally speaking. That's internal or external thermal insulation. However, in the case of this property, we're in a conservation zone and are restricted in terms of our aesthetic appearance on the exterior. We were not able to stick out 100-200 millimeters against our neighbour, so we had to find a super slim option. So we used a product called Space Therm to give us over 200 millimeters worth of performance of rock wool in just 58 millimeters, including the rendered finish. A lot of people ask me whether secondary glazing is a good method of upgrading leaded lights and stained glass. The solution I would prefer is encapsulation. This option offers a much better security performance, thermal performance, and also really is a conservationist attitude as well, because the stained glass and leaded lights are protected going forward, as there's no longer any oxygen surrounding them for them to decay or oxidize. So this is the perfect solution for the stained glass and leaded lights. Although we've taken a broadly passive approach with the property and we've done our best to minimise active devices, inevitably every property does need some active devices for heating water and space heating and kitchen appliances, etc. In this area we've installed a biomass device, and as you can see here we've got the world's most efficient of its type at 93% efficiency. This means that we can burn wood very effectively and really minimise our gas usage only to heating water and not having to heat the property itself. In the kitchen, where 80% of the household's electricity is normally consumed, we were able to be very careful with our selection of appliances to dramatically reduce the amount that we're consuming. So we have a fridge, for instance, that may have been costing around £150 a year if it was a 10-year-old fridge, that now we're installing costing only £12 a year to run.
I think the lowest point during the renovations was definitely the dust, particularly when all the ceilings came down. And we lived through it. I think it was about 18 months in total. and we were here through, I think it was one of the coldest winters in recent history in Britain, and breaking the ice on the toilet, and it was fairly miserable. And I think if we ever did it again, we would definitely get a caravan in the garden.
There are 24 million homes in the UK, and come 2050, 80% of those are still going to exist. That is a main driver for why I open my home and help other private homeowners with their existing housing stock try and upgrade them to save energy.